Okay, so we go. Hey guys, this is Eléonor from Revolution. I am here in Zurich for the 60th anniversary of the DiaStar watch with the CEO of Rado, Adrian Bosshard, and this, well, not the CEO, but a designer that we probably don't need to introduce anymore. His name is Alfredo Häberli, and he was asked to be brought on board for the project to redesign a watch that at the time was described to be perfect. So, what was the brief when you first got brought into the project?
You know, as you have mentioned, when you have a product which is during 60 years running very well with the same size, with the same material, with finally the same outlooking, it's something which must be really very well synced about to change. And the brief was quite challenging for Alfredo because we said, please don't change a lot, just change what is necessary, but keep the roots and keep the DNA of the product. So the brief was quite challenging, but as we have saw yesterday evening, in the end, the outcome was really very positive. How it was for you, Alfredo, the brief?
Is it true that he said, don't change anything, but make it different?
It was more like, okay, we have this iconic design.
Okay.
What shall we change if? And what are the iconic moments in the design? And I started to realize it just by looking to the drawings, to see the geometry. I went carefully to every detail. And then, how much can I change? Like, what is the minimum, what is the maximum of playing with it by keeping the character and the attitude of DiaStar.
Because obviously it has one of the most important component was the fact that it was unscratchable, the fact that it was waterproof, but it also had this funky shape that at the time was something very revolutionary in the industry. And I guess to this day, it also still is very revolutionary, where every brand has the quest of the thinnest, the lightest. That's something that you didn't take into consideration when you redesigned or added some components to the piece.
By having this starting point, you have to really build up on the history, on the design which is existing there, and really make it so smooth, the changement so slightly fine, discreet, but still then giving my handwriting, so my footprint. I mean, by looking to the iconic design from the 62, I saw the vertical facets from the sapphire glass, and I thought, what could I do by using also a facet, but what kind of, and then by choosing an hexagonal shape, I make the bridge to the 60 years, so every decade has one facet. And I liked it because it's also a little bit of jewelry, as it's also a little bit of diamond in it, which gives also the
DiaStar for the diamond and the star. And now to you, Adrian, you introduced Ceramos as a new revolutionary material for the case. Can you tell us a little more about the difference between regular ceramic and how it's even more unscratchable and even more robust than any other hard material?
You know, the big evolution which Rado and all the whole Swatch Group did during the last years, it was really our aim to integrate this in this iconic product in the DiaStar, and therefore also, you know, when you are doing a revolution in terms of material, you must see also after some adaptation in terms of design. The big step with the Ceramos is definitely that it's really a very noble material which is based with the same advantage like ceramic. That will mean it's very light, it's also heavily scratch proof, it's even more scratch resistant than the hard metal, and is very wear friendly. That will mean we have plenty of advantage for the customer, and it's the most modern material also in the whole Rado portfolio. And so it was obvious that when we are changing the DiaStar, it must be with this kind of material. And the difference between ceramic and Ceramos is that with the Ceramos you can do the same materialization and outlook like steel materials. That will mean ceramic, it's either black or white or also plasma. The plasma ceramic is like titanium. But with the Ceramos, you can do like steel colors, you can do PVD coatings, you can work with in different angles, but with the steel materialization. And so this is the big evolution. On the other side, also, of course, we have integrated the Air 764 Rado movement, which is 80-hour power reserve movement with anti-magnet spiral, with also very accurate, precise 5-position testing. That will mean the whole product is heavily upgraded in terms of materialization, in terms of movement, really all premium material. And I'm really happy that Alfredo was able to keep this iconic DNA, because this was my worry. You know, a such product must remain with the same roots. It was so futuristic in the 60s, and it remained during all these years on this heavily requested design. So he was able, with his experience also in designing watches, to really to keep this DNA and these roots, you know, with a bigger size and with let's say today's design in a perfect way.
And it's also the first time that you
make me
introduce.
cry.
It's also the first time that you introduced 2 bracelets, and one with fabric, which you've never used. Is that a choice? Was it your choice or was it yours?
No, it was mine. It was
yours.
mine. Yes, I wanted to add some softness to the very hard case, to make a contrast to it, because by making the contrast you even underline the hardness of the case by using exactly a soft strap, and that was my aim.
And so
You know, we have in the end we have 2 executions. You have a core collection execution, the 3 references with the blue, the green, and
which is
the
the regular
dark grey.
collection.
Yes, it's the regular collection. And after we have the anniversary edition,
which is not a limited edition.
This is not a limited,
You
because
said you
know,
didn't like limited editions.
No, because the DiaStar, it's a so requested product globally that it would be unfair to do a limited edition with this beauty. Therefore, we said it's a special edition, but unlimited, because we would like not to disappoint any people in the world.
So when you say you don't want to disappoint, you need to, it's like a project that you really need to work on and think through. But I've heard that it took you 10 days to design the watch, and you had dreamed all your life to basically design a watch. It was your first one. Did you agree like right off on the first designs on the project, or there were some things where you needed to fight over one idea versus the other?
Not really. Of course, in my studio developed during these 10 days the case several times, that for sure. But when I presented, I think everybody was quite spontaneous, agree with the idea, and yeah, that was quite quick. I think so.
You know, I'm working 26 years in the watch industry, and I learned during all the time when I was in the moment to take decisions, that my stomach feeling must give me the right input. And finally, when I saw the first proposal, I saw the DiaStar. I saw the proportions of the DiaStar. I saw also that the dial is a little bit more open. That will mean the openness, the bezel was a little bit thinner. That will mean the small details have even strengthened the DNA and the strength of this design. And I was immediately convinced that it is the right base. We had some fine-tunings, of course, to do, but really small fine-tunings, and like in the past when I took decisions about designs, the first inspiration and the first feedback was the right. And so therefore the phase of the design definition was quite fast. After the part of the individualization, it was the execution, it was another scale, because of course when you have the design is the first base, but the rest it takes of course a lot of development to make the installation accordingly.
But to some extent we can say that it was a flawless collaboration that potentially could lead to new developments together.
I hope so. No, but yeah, it was very nice. It was a real teamwork.
Because also you're more used to, I mean, you've won design prizes and you're well known, and you also the roots, we didn't say it, but you're half Argentinian, but you were also raised in Switzerland, so you have this Latin style mixed with the rigidity, I want to say, with the Swiss German lifestyle. And it's the first time that you actually designed something very small as opposed to what you generally work on.
Yes, it's the smallest scale I designed until today. But by using exactly these two sides, it's important also for you. I mean, he is making the decision intuitively wise when he see the case or the design, and I do the same. I mean, of course, we use the brain, the preciseness, to go deeply in the details, etc., etc. But at the end, you also, when you buy a watch, you do it very emotional wise. I
That's
think
true.
so. And I think this is important, and it's also the challenging point. It's like art. You go to a museum, and from 10 different images, 2 are more attractive for you than the other 8.
That's true.
So that's.
And you know, concerning your point, if it would have a future also with Alfredo, I suppose one important criterion has convinced me that he is a man who is a watch passionate guy, he's a watch maniac, and he's respecting also what was done in the past. And because when he saw the first time the DiaStar, he was with shiny eyes, and you see it's really an artwork, and it's a great challenge. You have a huge respect to touch this piece. And when you have a respect of a successful piece, this is always also a very important point. Because, you know, it's very easy to say, okay, it's an old-fashioned piece. No, it's a historical piece. It's a piece who had many years success and convinced a lot of hearts of customers that, you mean, he brought this necessary humbleness in the project. He know exactly what he want, but he had this humbleness to respect good things and what was done in the past. And this is definitely, you know, Rado is a traditional brand. It's a brand with heavy roots. And so therefore, when we are doing future products, we want to respect where we come from, because the brand and the product must be recognized also in the future. We are respecting really these elements.
Because also the DiaStar, when it was launched in 1962, it was a milestone in the watch industry, and to this day, you were telling me yesterday that some markets are still super excited and still buy the DiaStar, but it's very in very specific markets. In doing, and I guess it's my last question, but in doing this collaboration where you bring it to something more modern and more sleek, with an actual collaboration where you bring somebody and a name as a signature on board, is it, and do you think it will enlarge the scope of clients, audience and market that will enjoy more or discover the DiaStar but new generation 60 years later?
It's absolutely an important point, because today the DiaStar original, the existing one, it's probably in 2/3 of our markets really an important segment of the whole Rado collection. And our aim is to launch the DiaStar original again as a global international project, and of course also to attract also the younger audience, because the customers, let's say 40-45 plus, of course they are still very important customers for Rado. But on the other side, you have the customers 30 below, and they appreciate today, you know, vintage-inspired product, but it must be translated in a modern way with the most modern technologies. Because old pieces, it's one segment, but it's it's a product inspired from the roots of the brand, but translated in a very, very modern way. And when you are looking, you know, the new DiaStar original, the Alfredo Häberli edition, but also the regular collection, it's really a very, very modern piece in terms of materials, in terms of features, and also in terms of design, because this is a timeless design. 1962, it was a revolution. It was a revolution sensation, and a design which remains so long strong will also remain strong for the next 60 years. I'm fully convinced.
Well, we're very excited. Good luck on that new adventure, and thank you so much for allowing me to ask you a couple of questions here in Zurich that very morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.